2023, on or after 7:30 PM. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The next hearing on our agenda is a continued hearing for 6 Wayside Glossy Nails. If the applicant's here, if you can come on up to the microphones, and you can take a seat.
Oh, okay. I was going to stand, but okay, that works. So my name is V. I'm on here on behalf of City Signs and Graphics and also the owner for Glossy Nails. Based on the last meeting, we had agreed to make some adjustments to the proposal. So last time we had proposed a set of internally illuminated channel letters with a logo and then glossy nails on the main facade. So we revised it to propose a set of backlit letters, removing the logo. The letters now are 23 inches high with a max width of 13 feet.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments? Joe, any comments?
Weren't we dropping the logo?
Yeah, we did drop the logo. This is the kind of revised one.
I have the revised plans here.
Need that, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no comment.
Mark?
Just the, is the restriction on there, Joe, in terms of the amount of lumens?
I think we, didn't appear that they put it on there, so we'll just have to make sure we continue it, we can condition it, sorry.
Yeah, we gotta condition it in.
Okay. 80,
90.
90 lumens per square foot, right? Yeah, I have nothing other than that.
Jeff?
I didn't have the new one. I'll take a look at it when Joe's all set with
Yeah,
it.
I'm good.
Okay, so it's an inch taller, but it's 3 feet shorter, 3 feet less in width. Because the original letters were 22 inches, where that was 30. So the words will be an inch taller, but it's gonna be 3 feet narrower.
3 feet narrower, yeah.
I think that's a decent compromise. That's all I have.
Set it online. I'm good.
Okay.
You can take it. I don't need it, no. So, yeah, I think that's, looks much more what I was thinking of, when I got to review the tapes and take a look at it, so I have no other questions or comments on it either. This is a public hearing, so, if there's anybody here to speak for or against this application, you can come up to the tall microphone and say anything. All right. Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion closed.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any other, there's no date, well, so if we were gonna make a motion, we would need to do we can say if it's, you know, as submitted, but we definitely need to put the length and width in there. So are there any other comments or motions?
Motion to approve the special sign permit for, what is the address here? 6 Wayside Avenue, to conform to the amended plans that were filed in this case with the restrictions on the glossy nails sign of 23-inch high letters, 13-foot wide, and with the 90 lumens per square foot would be the restriction on the backlit lighting that has been submitted pursuant to, again, the amended plan, and no other sign on the building, even if by right.
Second.
Is that, I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All right, motion is made and seconded to approve 6 Wayside for a sign reading Glossy Nails as shown on plans submitted with the application. Sign to be 23 inches in height and 13 feet in length, with backlit letters. With the condition that not to exceed 90 lumens per square foot, and no other sign, even if by right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next item on our agenda is 39 Hilltop Drive. If you could just come up to the microphone and, Mark, if you can read it in.
Yes. It's a new hearing, number 2322, 39 Hilltop Drive. The applicant is seeking a variance for a proposed shed/addition, and the proposed shed/addition is in violation of Article 5, 5.20 density regulation. The proposed new addition on the left side setback will be 12 feet.
All right, thank you. If you could just introduce yourself and give us kind of an overview of your application.
Hi, my name's Ismail. I'm the homeowner of 39 Hilltop Drive. So I'm here today to ask a variance for addition for a garage. So that's what I'm here for today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Rob, do you want to start us off with any questions or comments?
I have nothing to stop.
Jeff?
My only question at the moment is, the back corner of the addition, is that at the 15 feet? So
Yeah.
So you're looking for the pizza slice of it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, that's all I have for the moment.
Thanks.
Mark?
So I don't see any plans, any,
Oh,
for the proposed addition?
yeah. So-
Did you have plans?
Yes, I did craft it, architecture design. I didn't know that I had to bring it here, but I can bring it over that I need, yeah.
Yeah, no, we usually require the applicant
To bring it.
to submit those proposed plans, so I have no other
Sure.
comments at this time.
I have it. If you need it, I'll bring it over.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Do you want to postpone his for a few, and we can come back to him? We have a few other hearings. You could run home and grab them if,
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think that we can keep going and then, anything else?
No, I have nothing else.
Joe?
Is it a single-story addition?
Yeah.
And you said garage/shed. What is
No,
that?
not shed. I don't know where the word shed appears. It's a garage.
So it's just a single-car garage,
Yes.
one story?
Yeah.
no room above it?
So I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
No room above it, it's just a single story?
Oh, no, it's, so currently split level, so I'm adding a floor with the garage, so
So you're gonna have
You're gonna have a-
floor above it?
above it, yes. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, I think I would need to see the plans.
Do you want me to go and bring it over or I can submit it next?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that,
Continue it?
yeah, once we get through some questions and comments, we may want to continue it just to see the plans. We'd give us some time to review, so I think we can get there once we're done. Joe, do you have any other questions?
No other comments?
So I think most of my questions are answered. So just a one-car garage, just to,
That's right.
yeah. What are you doing, just so we know, like, above? What's the,
Oh, just a family, kind of like a master bedroom that I want to add it to that.
okay. And I see that, just so I can kind of wrap my head around it a little bit, there's like a bit of an L in the back of your house. I can, if you want to come up, I can
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of show you.
sure.
I just want to see if you're filling this part in or not, this area right here.
Around this way, or
Yeah, want to come around that way, it's easier to see.
it's easier, right? All right.
So it looks like your house kind of juts in like that. Is that all being filled in too?
Let's see if this works.
Yeah. I know it's a little, it's like, it's up, yeah, that's the road. Yeah. So that's the proposed addition?
Yeah, that's-
So is this part being filled in too?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
It's just that.
He's coming out right here.
To where, to right here?
Yes,
or-
exactly.
Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, cool, thank you. Okay, yeah, I think, I'm definitely gonna wanna see plans too, because it doesn't look, it's tough to
Yeah,
to
so the
tell.
whole thing.
Yeah, it looks
the
like-
whole left side's,
Yeah, it looks like the whole, on the plot plan, it looks like the whole left side is being filled in, but from what you just told me, it doesn't sound like that, so I just wanna make sure we're doing this right.
He has a patio at ground level. So that's what's being shown on the plan. That's an enclosed porch.
Same, yeah. Okay. If there aren't any other comments, this is a public hearing, so I'll open it up real quick. So it's a public hearing, so if anybody's here to speak for or against this application, you can come up to the mic and, all right, seeing none, we're gonna hold off on closing the public hearing until, it sounds like we might be continuing this, so I think for me to make a decision, I would definitely want to see the plans that you already have beforehand. Sounds like I'm hearing that from other board members. So I think the best thing to do would be maybe to continue it to 12/19, and then you could send us the plans, we could review them, and then come back on the 19th, and hopefully we can have a decision.
Sure. Should I submit it through the town, or how do
Yeah, if you want to send it to, what's the email, the best email?
Appeals clerk at,
Appeals clerk? Yeah, email.
appeals clerk at burlington.org.
Burlington.org.
That's easy, yeah.
Yeah, and so is there a motion?
Make a motion to continue 39 Hilltop to December 19th, 2023 at 7:30.
second?
All right, motion has been made and seconded to continue 39 Hilltop Drive to 12/19/2023 at or on or after 7:30. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. You can, yeah, whenever you get a second, if you can send them to Jen, and then we'll review them, and we'll see you back on the 19th. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The next application on the agenda for tonight is 2 Van Norden Road. If the applicant's here, you can come up and sit. And Jeff, can you read that in for me?
Thank you very much.
The applicant is in violation of using a single-family dwelling being used as an unpermitted short-term rental, which is not allowed in any zoning district per the town zoning bylaws, Article 2, Section 2.19, short-term rentals.
All right, thank you. If you can just introduce yourself and give us an overview of your application?
All right, thank you very much for giving me opportunity to represent myself. So this is my first time in any sort of hearing, so I seek apology if I cannot follow any protocols. So little bit introduction by myself. So my name is Muhammad Munib Hassan. So I came in US in 2010, and Burlington was the first town I stayed in. And for staying for 1 year here, so I went out of state for like 6 years and came back in 2017. I bought my first house in Burlington. And now I have 3 properties in the Burlington area, and I live in 4th property that's I don't own, I rent it. And this particular property, I started renting out short-term rental in Airbnb in 2017. And I think the law was amended in 2021, January, I think. And I received a notice in July this year that the short-term rental is not allowed in this town. So that was quite a surprise for me, but at that time, I was already having 3 property in this town. And I'm paying mortgage on all these 3 properties. If I may show you all the mortgage statements, if I may show you that.
Okay. Thanks. We just need to go back to, we can hand these back to you, but,
Actually, you want to enter them into the record, right?
yeah, I'm not.
Submitting.
And after this notice, I'm thinking that it will be very difficult for me to pay all these 3 mortgages, and I'm also paying rent for my apartment where I'm living, so that's about $3,200. And then utility bills and all those things. So this is something around like more than $15,000 altogether. So if, I'm just seeking the permission, if you may allow me to rent this property under certain conditions. The town of Lexington, they do have a law. I have the copy of that one also. They just charge a fee, annual fee, for the short-term rental, and they do have some regulations. So if some owner follows all those regulations, so they allow that short-term rentals. So I'm also seeking the same kind of permission, if you may give me that permission.
All right, thank you.
I have the copy of bylaw for Lexington for the reference.
We have the Burlington one. I don't think that we need the Lexington one.
Okay.
Uh,
And I do also have my profile on Airbnb. It's more than 7 years now. I'm doing an Airbnb, and you can see my status is a super host. So I'm following all the regulation. I'm paying tax and everything in the town of Burlington, and I'm following all the regulations for that one. And there's no incident of safety or any issues so far at my properties.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, we'll start on this side of this time. Joe, do you have any comments?
A lot of comments, but you referenced the date of, short-term rentals that we just passed a bylaw, I believe I heard. But as far as I know, I don't think Burlington's ever allowed any Airbnbs, whether it's a boarding of any rooms, splitting the house, any such thing ever, so. I don't think this is just, happened with the short-term rental. It's been out there for a long time. You just can't rent rooms in your house. That's not how Burlington works on a single family.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, thanks. Mark?
I don't have anything right now. I'll reserve.
Okay. Jeff?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what we're doing here is voting on whether the building inspector's decision is correct or not. We would not be able to allow the rentals. A vote by us would not allow for that. We're determining whether you are in violation or not. So,
Yep.
I just wanted to get that out there. In addition to serving on this board, I am a town meeting member too. I was there when we voted on this last year, and there's no rentals beyond 30 days. That's where we're at, under 30 days, I'm sorry.
Under 28 days, I think.
Yes. So that's all I have for the moment. I'd like to hear from the public.
Rob?
I have nothing to add to that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, for my comments, kind of along the same lines. I mean, it's pretty clear in the bylaws that now there's no short-term rentals allowed in Burlington, under 30 days, so I'm not really sure.
It's 28.
Is it 28? Yeah. So I too want to hear from the public, see if anybody's here to speak for or against it. So we could open it up to the public real quick. Is anybody here to speak for or against this application? If you can just come up to this microphone stand and just introduce yourself and.
My name is Patty Angelo. I too am a town meeting member. And I would ask that you go along with the building inspector's, ruling on this. I mean, Burlington is like, it's like neighborhoods. And we know who lives across the street from us, we know who lives next door to us. We watch out for each other's property, we watch out for each other's kids. And when you have people coming in, I feel badly that you trapped in this, but when you have people coming in like that short term, it makes you very uneasy when you don't know who's next door or across the street from you. And that was one of the reasons too that we voted for this, to, prevent this from happening. So I would request that you go along with the building inspector's ruling.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak for or against? Okay. Yeah, I think before we close the public hearing, we can maybe have some more comment. We can start from there. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for the applicant? My only comment is, I've been in Burlington 15 years now, something like that, and I bought here to have a suburban feel, and I feel like any type of short-term rental kind of ruins that, and I tend to agree with the bylaw that was passed last year. And so I definitely cannot see myself being in favor of overturning the building inspector's decision at this point. I don't know if there's any other comments. If not, we can close the public hearing.
Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just want to mention this one, since I'm doing this one 2017, this is amended in 2021. So if I knew that that this is there is a short-term rental law, so I wouldn't buy more properties in this town. So with this decision, it can make me, financially uncomfortable to pay the mortgage or think something else. So if you can consider that thing, so I'm not saying that you allow me completely, but until I decide something for these properties, it will be very difficult for me to, pay all those mortgages. Because I just came to know in July this year, and at that time I already had that three properties this town.
So you're renting all 3 of them as Airbnbs?
Yeah, I'm renting 3 of them, and I'm living in an apartment where I'm paying $32,100 rent.
Okay, so even if we were to vote to say that you weren't in violation, that would be absolving you from being in violation. The building inspector could still put you in violation again tomorrow, because you're not disagreeing that you're renting them out as Airbnbs. You've admitted that.
No, I
you are.
admitted, I do that.
And there's a due diligence with buying a house of looking into the bylaws to make sure you're doing what is allowed by law. So I can feel for you that you have a financial burden on that. However, there's nothing here that can tell me you're not in violation. So I really wouldn't be able to.
This is not
I'd have to
intentional.
affirm the building inspector's decision.
So this is not
You
intentional.
can rent them out for a month at a time.
Yeah.
That is allowed. You can rent them out a year at a time. You can have rental properties like that. It's short-term rentals are not allowed. So that's the building inspector's decision, and I'm gonna have to vote to uphold that.
Has been any consideration for long-term rental?
Yeah, I'm doing long-term rental now. So since I got the notice for 2 of my properties, so I'm doing the long-term rental now because I don't want to be in violation anymore. Yeah, but that definitely reduced my income. Yeah, because you don't get that much frequently. Like there are like more than 10 rooms now. So I'm doing renting by rooms. So I don't get, if I rent out the whole house, I won't even be able to pay the mortgage and the utilities and all those things. So.
Yeah, for me, I certainly understand the predicament you're in. The bylaws changed after you bought, sounds like after you bought these houses. Unfortunately, I think, from what I can see in the bylaws, that there's nothing really to overturn at this point. Bylaws are pretty.
You can put some
set in
condition
stone.
on, certain condition, just like the town of Lexington, they have like, I can pay the fee for that one, or
That would
Yeah.
require town meeting to make a bylaw change. That's not something in our purview.
That's not something in our board that we can do, unfortunately, for you. You'd have to, petition the town meeting, I guess, to change that. So,
Let me ask the town meeting member, was there a discussion about whether it would be retroactive or?
No, there
prospective?
wasn't. No,
And
it-
then the law is clear, and
Yeah.
the bylaw is clear. There was no enactment to allow for retroactive relief.
Yeah, all we can decide here is, was the building inspector correct in issuing you that, or not correct? That's all we're voting on. So we can't grant any sort of leniency. This isn't like a typical variance request. It's not zoning related. It's bylaw related. It's not in our purview to do that.
So what would be the proper forum for that to appeal, because
You would have
the
to,
point is that I'm renting before the law was amended. I'm renting since 2017. I have the record for that one. And I have the copy of that one as well. So it shows that I'm renting for more than 7 years now. So bylaw was amended later.
Right, and
So the remedy, I think my brother indicated already, is to go back to town meeting and make a petition town meeting for some sort of relief, like
for a
you're
bylaw
claiming-
change,
you have to change the
You're
bylaw.
amend the bylaw.
that you're claiming that Lexington has, whatever that, you might want to look at their bylaw and say, and propose that to town meeting.
Yeah, I was in the building inspector office, so they actually suggested me to appear in front of the Board of Appeal. So that's why I thought maybe this will be helpful. Yeah, but I'll try to reach out to the town meeting as well for that one.
So I think we could probably close the public hearing at this point.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Are there any other comments from the board? Motions?
Gentlemen, make the motion.
So I'll make the motion. Motion to uphold the building inspector's decision for 2 Van Norden Road being in violation of the town's zoning bylaws, Article 2, Section 2.19 on short-term rentals.
Second?
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded for, to uphold the building inspector's decision to, that the applicant is in violation of using a single-family dwelling being used as unpermitted short-term rental, which is not allowed per Article 2, Section 2.19 for short-term rentals. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Thank you very much, sir.
thank you.
Thank you.
Organized here for a second. All right, the next item on our agenda tonight is 0 Windmere Ave, application for Robert Murray. Mark, can you read that into the record?
Yes, sir. It's a new hearing, number 2325, 0 Windmere Avenue. The applicant is Robert Murray. The applicant is seeking a variance for grandfathered lots. This location, the application was denied by the building inspector. See letter dated October 20th, 2023, on file with the town or via online in Viewpoint. Upon recommendation from Town Council Lisa Mead dated July 24th, 2023. The letter from Town Council states that the lots in question are not buildable as singular or combined.
All right, if you can just introduce yourself and give us an overview.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thomas Murphy for the applicant. Just by way of clarification, and I know the legal notice read, as Mark just read it, we're not disputing, I just want people to be clear, we're not disputing town council's opinion or the building inspector's decision. We had asked for a clarification as to whether this particular property met the grandfather requirements under the Mass General laws. And they did some research and said that it didn't, so we didn't challenge that decision, and we don't quarrel with it. We're just here as a variance request, as you guys see quite often, trying to make the argument that this particular lot should be considered a buildable lot or be granted a variance to be considered a buildable lot because of circumstances relating to the lot. So I just wanted to make sure it was clear, because it wasn't clear to me in reading the legal notice that we're not in any way challenging either town council's opinion or the building inspector's decision. What we are here for, Mr. Chairman, the property in question is a vacant parcel of land, has frontage on Wynn Street. On one side of it is a office building, 69 Wynn Street. On the other side of it is a single-family house on 73 Wynn Street. As is shown on the plan that was submitted with the application, there's a total square footage of 11,500 square feet, and there's frontage on Wynn Street in the amount of, it was 75 feet, 75.03 of frontage. The bylaws require 100 feet of frontage and 20,000 square feet of uplands. So this variance is requesting a variance both from the square footage requirement and the frontage requirement. By way of background, these lots, back it up a little bit further, pretty much the entire Windmere section of town on that side of 128, that's being both up on the hill and down in the flats on the other side of Wynn Street, were created in a 1916 subdivision plan, which essentially chopped up that whole area of town into a bunch of 25-foot by 100-foot lots. If you look at the 1916 plan, that's what you'll see there. And then over the course of time, people would buy, they'd come out and they'd buy 3 or 4 of those lots, group together and build a house on them. Up until 1943, there were no zoning bylaws in the town of Burlington. And all you needed at that point was 5,000 square feet and 60 feet of frontage, and you could build a house. In 43, they put the first zoning bylaws into town. In that section of town, they upped the zoning requirements to 10,000 square feet and 60 feet of frontage. Ultimately, over the course of time, it's gone up to 100 feet of frontage and 20,000 square feet of land. But at the time the first zoning bylaw went into play, this particular parcel of land is made up of 4 of those 25 by 100-foot lots that were created in 1916. 3 of those were grouped together at the time at 1943, 105, 106, and 107, and 117 was under separate ownership at that time. As time has gone forward, those lots have kind of switched hands a few times, but Mr. Murray first bought them in 1982. In 1982, he purchased 3 of the lots 105, 106, and 107 from one particular seller, and he purchased lots 117 from another seller, and he grouped them together. So the 4 of those lots in combination come out to 11,500 square feet of square footage with the 75 feet of frontage on Wynn Street. Actually, lot 117 has frontage at the rear. If you're looking at the map, it's the little tail that goes off the back that technically has frontage on a paper street that's hasn't been built out. So the reason that I requested a clarification or an opinion from the building inspector as to whether this was grandfathered is that the way that the law reads and the way that the zoning bylaws read, if a lot is legal and then becomes not a legal lot because of a change in the zoning, you're grandfathered into the previous zoning. So the point being that at the time that the first zoning bylaws went into play in town, 1943, this was essentially a 75-foot frontage, 11,000 square foot lot if you group all those lots together. And So it was grandfathered in even when the zoning increased. Once it's grandfathered, it stays that way. However, if it merges with other land going forward, it technically loses its grandfather status, and that's what happens here. And try not to go too deep in the woods here, because it gets a little confusing, but basically what happened, Mr. Murray, he owned the 4 lots together. I bought them in 1982. In 1989, the gentleman who built that office building, which is right on the corner of Windmere and Wynn Street, it's at 69 Wynn Street, approached Mr. Murray about buying that parcel of land that Mr. Murray owned that was vacant, because he wanted to extend his parking lot with his office building. So Mr. Murray said, sure, and he sold him the land and took back a small mortgage because the guy didn't have the money to pay him, but he just wanted the land. So Bob says, sure. The guy stopped paying the mortgage. Bob called him up and said, what's going on? The guy says, you know, I don't need the parking, I'm not even gonna bother. So Bob took the thing back. That was 3 years after he deeded it to him. Deeded it to him in 89, took it back in 92. And so since 92, he's owned it. But during that window, his lots merged with the lot, with the building lot. By law, it reads if the same owner owns the 2 adjoining lots, they merge into one. So by flipping it into the owner of the office building and then flipping it back, he was no longer, when it merges, it loses its grandfather rights. So even though it's the same lot with the same measurements in the same location, it's technically no longer grandfathered because for a period of 3 years there, it was merged with the neighboring lot. So, like I said, I requested a clarification from the building inspector and town council, and I don't disagree at all with their findings, they're correct. So what we're left with, what Mr. Murray's left with, is this 11,500 square foot parcel of land that, without a variance, it's not a buildable parcel of land. Nothing else he can do with it. I suppose eventually he's not going to keep paying taxes on it, and maybe the town will take it back, but at this point, what is out there is kind of an overgrown lot. The guy did put some, looked like a cold first layer of hot top down to use for parking way back when. Hasn't touched it since then. It's still there. It's overgrown, and that's all crumbling. So the request before the board is to grant a variance for both square footage and for frontage, which will allow this lot to be, or allow a single-family house to be built on this lot, which I would argue, from an aesthetic standpoint, is going to be a lot nicer than what's there now. From the town's financial standpoint, it's going to keep the lot on the tax rolls. It's not going to fall into tax title. And I would argue that for the most part, it's exactly what was envisioned when this thing became grandfathered back in 1943. I would emphasize we're not creating a new lot here. We're not splitting a lot. We're not trying to break off a lot into 2 smaller lots. We're just trying to legitimize a lot that up until 40 years ago was a grandfather lot. By a technicality, it's lost its grandfathered rights, but nevertheless, I would argue that its best use is as a single-family lot, and that's what that's the gist of our request, Mr. Chairman, and that's obviously willing to answer any questions the board may have.
All right, thank you. I think before we start, I apologize. I think we probably need to re-advertise it. Nowhere on the public hearing or the agenda does it say that you're looking for a variance for either of those. I think that we were probably mistaken when we send it out. So we could talk about that before we finish up tonight at some point.
I mean, okay, we can talk about it. I mean, it's clear on the application what we're asking for, so if anybody looked into it, they would certainly understand it, but I just...
What do you think about it? Let's see. All right, Rob, you want to start us off with any questions?
I have no questions.
Jeff?
I've read through it prior to the meeting. I'm aware of the doctrine of merger and how that all works. like to hear what the public has to say. I have nothing at the moment.
Mark?
Tom, that was very well presented. That was really excellent, I have to say. But, how do you get around if you're not grandfathered? Aren't you in derogation of the intent of the zoning bylaw? In other words, isn't that what we're really trying to?
Well, I would argue, and as you know, Mark, that's what we do.
I know,
The intent of the bylaw, and I think I touched on it in my application, at least in my opinion, what the intent of the bylaw is, both square footage and frontage for that matter, is to ensure a certain amount of spacing between structures. We don't want Somerville where there's a house every 5 feet. Gives people some privacy, gives people a yard and things of that nature. So clearly, the current zoning, 20,000 square feet and 100 feet of frontage is what you have to meet if you're building a house in Burlington nowadays. I would submit that in that section of town in particular, that was developed under at different times with different requirements. And I would suggest that if you drive up and down any of the streets up on the hill in Windmere or down the flats, you'll see that most of the lots there are 10,000 square feet or even smaller. The houses are sized accordingly, and that's a good thing. And so, as far as the intent of the bylaw, I would submit that a 11,500 square foot lot with 75 feet of frontage in this section of town is pretty much what the going practice is down there. So from that standpoint, I would also state that the house, proposed house, is going to meet all setback requirements, which means it's 15 feet off of each side yard, 25 feet off the street, 15 off the back. So from a spacing standpoint, vis-a-vis your neighbors, it's the same as current zoning. Is it a small lot if you're building a new subdivision someplace? Yeah, clearly it is. Is it a small lot in that area of town? It's very standard, very average, I would suggest.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, I'm somewhat familiar with that area, right? And I can tell you, it's very congested.
No question about it.
I mean, I don't even know how you're gonna get access to it. Are you gonna come off of,
Right off Wind Street. It's got frontage, 75 feet of frontage on Wind Street.
okay, but I mean, still.
So it's not even gonna get back into the
All right,
neighborhoods.
I get it, but I'm just looking at what I used to see every day when I went there, and I'm somewhat familiar with the nightmare that Mr. Murray had experienced here with Marshall. Right? So
So you know where it is. Yeah.
I know where it is, and it's very unfair. That's what, the bottom line from your perspective and your client's perspective is, it's unfair, but I still believe that area is congested, and I think it doesn't meet the intent. Your argument is strong, but I just believe that it needs to.
I hear you, and I understand what you're saying. I guess I would say that I would, in my opinion, one of the purposes of the zoning bylaw and the Board of Appeals is to address, if you want to call it unfair situations with the zoning bylaws, and otherwise, you guys wouldn't exist, and it would be a black and white bylaw, and it either does or it doesn't.
I agree, but
So,
we have to put it in the balance.
oh, I understand, and that's, from my standpoint, I'm arguing that this is one of those situations where I would suggest that the balance could swing in favor of the property owner, given the background and the circumstances in the neighborhood in which we're located.
I have nothing further at this time. I'll wait to hear from the public.
Sure, thank you. Joe, do you have any questions or comments?
This particular lot, I'm very familiar with this area. I grew up in the flats 50 years. I still reside in the flats. I know that whether it's up the hill, down, I've got a lot of history on this lot. Friends grew up to the right of it, behind it, all around it. And your average lot, in whether you're down the flats or up the hill, is averaging about 5,000 square feet to about 13,000 square feet, which is normally a corner lot in town. My lot is, 5 of those lots. But, you know, to me, the whole neighborhood is undersized. I'd say your average lot is about 10,000 square feet, and whether you're down the flats or up the hill. The only thing with this lot is Wind Street. But I don't think that's an issue for this board, you know, how you access, is it a lot or isn't it a lot? But it fits the whole criteria of the neighborhood. That's how the neighborhood was built out in a day, and that's how it resides right now. Whether you're knocking it down and rebuilding it, you're still rebuilding on, you know, whether it's a 5,000 square foot lot or a 10,000. If you drive down Harriet Ave, you know, those things are all maxed out. Whether it's a 5,000 or, I probably got one of the biggest lots down there, which is a 13,000 square foot lot. But, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Before we open up the public, I have I guess a couple of, just want to clarify something and then have a couple of comments. So, you're contending that if Mr. Murray didn't parse out his lot in 1989 or 88, that it would technically be grandfathered right now? Is that,
The
clarify that?
town council's opinion, and I agree with it, was that it's not, it lost its grandfather status when it merged with the neighboring lot. And that's what happened at that time. So,
So,
the merger is what terminated the grandfathered rights, because when,
What it sounds like, it was a failed merger, though, because he attempted to sell it and they had to take it back.
yeah,
I mean, it was a failed sale.
it went through, and it went for like 3 years, and then he took, the guy just gave it back to him because he decided he didn't want to build the parking lot, and he owed Mr. Murray money on it, which he didn't want to pay for that either, so he just took it back. So I don't want to say it was a failed sale, because it went through, it was recorded, the deed went on record. He owned it, Mr. Marshall, whatever his trust was called, owned it for 3 years, but then it came back. But the way that I look at this is a situation where it's technically not a grandfather lot, but it's, I would argue in reality, it's the same lot it was 40 years ago when it was a grandfather lot. Nothing's changed. It's not bigger, it's not smaller, it's not in a different place. Frontages are the same place. So there's been no change in circumstances other than the legal technicality that the deed went out of his name for a few years and came back into his name. Is that a technical violation of the grandfathering rights? Yeah, it is. It says it right on the,
Okay.
but from,
That was basically what I was trying to get at, so it's essentially the same lot that it was before 1988.
exact same lot.
Okay. Okay, I'll hold anything else until after the public. Anybody else have anything before I open up to the public? No? Okay, this is a public hearing, so if anybody is here that wants to speak for or against the application, if you can come up to the microphone stand, introduce yourself, and let us know what you're thinking.
Again, my name's Steve Pan, I'm representing my parents who live on Windmere, elderly parents in Windmere. I just wanted to, I can't read the name, I apologize, give more credence to Mark. His point about, not necessarily the zoning, it sounds from this discussion, the zoning is pretty straightforward, right? But more credence than I've heard during this discussion around the traffic flow and the safety there, because it is a real, not only congestion, but those cars come flying around that corner. And adding another entry point right there before Windmere, to me, is part of the board's responsibility that I'm not hearing enough of here, and again, I don't think it's Mark, that you said it here, I just want to echo that as a concern of all residents in that area. Less about the security, not more about the safety and the traffic and everything that's down in that corner, which it wasn't zoned for back in the timeframe that you guys were talking about. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name's Adrienne Levac. I live at 1 Windmere Ave, which actually abuts the property. It's a huge safety. I hear an accident probably maybe once a week while I'm watching TV. So I think it's going to be a huge increase in traffic and accidents. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in the public? We'll probably leave it open for a little bit anyway, so, okay. Are there any comments?
So it sounds like what we're hearing is traffic. So I actually want to ask this question. So it's marked 0 Winfield Ave. I'm on the assessor's map right here. So you own 0 Windmere as well as 0 Winfield, correct? It's like a dog leg coming off the back of it.
Well,
Is that?
Winfield's the paper street.
Zero
Yeah.
Windmere, I don't know where that came from, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can show you my screen.
Yeah, no, I've seen.
It's just what they're designating it as, 0 Winfield. I know it's a paper street.
Yeah, Winfield's the paper street. The only other frontage is on
Yeah.
Wynn Street. There's no frontage on Windmere.
So I know I'm looking at the satellite map here. It looks like there is access that's being used by the neighbors to the right and the left. As if Winfield was a street, but they're using it as just a rough street.
When it's a paper street like that, the owners of either side of the paper street have the rights to use it, subject to other people's rights to use
Yeah.
it. So it's not uncommon for people like that to use it as part of their driveway.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is, because you have frontage over there, would you be able to use access through that same way, rather than having a driveway coming out to Wynn Street? Because you're in a butter as well as the other ones.
Well, we're abutted to Winfield, then we'd have to build out Winfield, and I think.
That's what they're using.
But I think that would be more disruptive, I would think, to the neighborhood, if we were to build out Winfield. If it was just.
Yeah, not building it out, using the access that's currently already there and going right on
Which I think
to the
might be,
property.
it might be somebody's driveway, to answer your question, Jeff, I suppose that would be possible. That wasn't the intention. The intention was just to put a driveway out to Wynn Street.
And if that makes the most sense, that makes the most sense. But
Well, I mean, we'd be willing to listen if people prefer that, but in my mind, I would think that would be more disruptive to the family at One Windmere if that becomes a driveway going through there, but that's something that we could certainly discuss.
having computer issues here, nothing wants to click the right way. Let me take a look
So
at
I
that.
have I'm looking at your application and I'm trying to read everything on the fly here, so I guess the second prong of the statutory
Yep.
analysis is not to cause a substantial detriment to the public good.
Right.
So I think basically what I'm hearing from public, even the few people that are, is that this would not be in the best interest of the public good.
Well, I would agree that we've had two speakers who expressed an interest in safety. The measuring stick under the statute is substantial detriment to the public good. Frankly, I don't see how one additional single-family house on Wynn Street is going to be the tipping point to create substantial detriment, but I understand people have their own opinions.
Isn't that the language of the next prong? Oh, no, so you're saying substantial as part of this particular factor as well?
The relief sought will not cause substantial detriment to the public good, is what I'm arguing, is that one additional single-family house, Wynn Street, obviously, as everybody knows, is a pretty well-traveled road.
I guess we differ on public good.
Yeah, I actually want to correct myself here. I was looking at the thing wrong. It's One Windmere's driveway. I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, so I tend to agree with Attorney Murphy that one home probably isn't going to increase the traffic to an unsafe situation in that area. You know, we have three different items that we have to go through, right? We have to go through, you know, a substantial hardship based off of the structure or topography of the land. There is no structure there. I think maybe you can make an argument, there's an argument to be made that, you know, the land changed for 3 years and that has created a substantial hardship for Mr. Murray, in my opinion, but, I don't think that this single-family home would really derogate from the intent of the bylaw in that area. The intent of the bylaw, in my opinion, is, to reduce overcrowding in that area. You know, this is gonna be probably a larger lot, not really one of the small lots in the area. Then, to derogate from the substantial public good, is, I think, again, somewhat subjective. I agree that that area is just definitely rife with traffic and problems all the time. I'm in that area a lot. I see it. So that one I'm still trying to have a little bit of a hard time getting over, but I don't know if anybody else has any comments.
So what's the hardship?
The hardship, I would argue, under the statute, it has to be related to the topography of the land or the lot. And I would suggest that the hardship is, this lot was a legally buildable lot until such time as, under a technicality, it became not legally buildable, but it's still the same lot that was.
That's not the statutory requirement, is it? It has to be related to the
Has to be
land,
related, the shape of
not to the shape.
the topography of the land or the shape of the makeup of the lot, I believe is the way that it reads. And I would grant you that the shape of the lot extending, that might be somewhat subjective as to how you apply that test, but I would suggest that the shape and the size of this lot is such that, but for technical change in the grandfathering status.
Over that, right? That's the-
But
that's the,
I'm telling you that, my,
council's opinion.
no, and I agree with town council. My argument is that created a hardship because what was a legal lot suddenly became an illegal lot through no fault of the property owner, nothing that he did that triggered that, other than,
I don't think that's how the hardship provision is to be interpreted, but
disagree again.
I have nothing further.
I mean, I don't, the only other questions I have is, do you have an idea of what size the house is that is being proposed?
I believe in the plan, it had a,
It's tough to tell.
if I can find it,
2,500 square feet,
yeah, it was,
1,000.
Load up on a readable view.
I don't know if you have a copy of the plan right there, Charles.
Yeah,
It's
I'm on
they got
viewpoint.
dimensions
Give me
on
a
it.
second.
I say, yeah.
kind of hard to see, but it's, like I say, it's within the setbacks of the front
42 by
of that lot, so it's not going to be especially large.
Yeah,
What is the record number on this?
23, 4, 22, 25, yeah.
About 2,700 square feet.
Okay.
And you got a garage in there.
Okay.
And not to, I guess, muddy the waters, but when you first started, you said there was a question of maybe having to repost this?
Yes.
So maybe before we spin our wheels too much, we can explore that a little bit?
Yeah, typically in the, when we advertise these, you mind if I borrow this for a second? We would put in there that we're looking for two separate variances, right? We're looking for one for the square footage of the lot and one for the frontage. And neither of those are in the agenda. Or in looking at the public hearing notice, neither of those are in there. It does reference the map and parcel, it does reference the variance, but it does reference a variance for a grandfathered lot. So for me, typically when we would approve this, we would approve a variance for, you know, or if we-
Frontage and square footage.
Frontage and square footage, we wouldn't approve it for a grandfathered lot. So regardless of how this goes, I think I would be more comfortable, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I would be more comfortable if we just re-advertised it the right way. Obviously, the wires are a little crossed on what exactly we were.
I mean, I've got, I understand your concern. I've got a practical question, is what you mean by republishing. I mean, if I have to resend by certified mail to all of the abutters up there, that was about a 200 and something odd dollar procedure. And then it takes, and it's got to be published twice in the newspaper, which is another, so we're talking 4 to 6 weeks out potentially, plus another $300 for publishing, then another $200 to $300 in certified mailings. I prefer not to have to do that. If by republishing, if you want to, regular mail, just send a clarification, I guess I could do that, but see, my concern, we don't see the legal notice until it's already gone out. So,
Sure.
I just took what I was given.
Would we be able to say the measurements based off of this plot plan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could, if we were gonna, if there was a motion made, we could probably,
And a side note, the house is 1,300 square feet for a footprint. I have it scaled up on the PDF here.
yep. So I guess if we would just have to do a lot of making sure that everything is exact.
It's a plot plan dated October 23rd. Submitted with, yeah, and it would be 75.03 foot frontage. I guess 123.41 sideline, left side, 196.46.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to do all that. We just need the frontage.
And the square footage of 11,050.
Yeah.
And I would point out that both of those are spelled out in the application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if somebody would have went on and read the application, they would certainly understand it. But I understand your concern as well. It didn't say that necessarily on the legal ad.
Right. Yeah, I think that we could,
In the application.
yeah, we could meander through it a little bit and make sure that we get it right, so we don't have to delay anything if it's approved. All right, I don't have any comments. Any other comments for me? As far as the safety concern, I agree. I don't think that, I think that this area is definitely, a tough area traffic-wise. I don't see how a single-family home with, 2 or even 3 cars is gonna affect that area because there's already so much traffic in that area. I don't see that as a really, a major issue from my standpoint. And I can see a hardship, that happened in the 1980s. And, I think that, like I said before, I think that it doesn't derogate from the intent of the bylaw, from this area. So from me, my perspective, I think that, I'm all right with it. I don't know what everybody else thinks. I'm just one vote. But
Well, you gotta add another curb cut to Wynn Street, into that intersection, but, there's one right across the street, there's one to the right of it. Drive down Wynn Street, they're all curb cuts. You know. There's many houses on Wynn Street, so if you fight one, you gotta fight them all.
And I know there's improvement coming soon with Wynn Street traffic for the light at Mountain Road. We approved that in town meeting
Yeah, that's
last year, I think.
It's next spring.
Can't come soon enough.
all right. I think we could probably close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Second?
Motion's been made and closed, motion was made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any other comments from the board? Motions?
Let me try to do this one. Make a motion to approve 0 Windmere Ave for a variance for 75.03 feet of frontage and 11,050 square feet of area. I think that should be all we have to say.
Yeah, did you,
Oh, in accordance with plans dated on 10/23, I think it's 10/23/23.
Second.
all right, let me make sure I get this right here. So, motion's been made and seconded to approve 0 Windmere Ave for two variances. For one, for area of the lot to be 11,050 square feet, and for the second variance for front lot variance for 75.03 feet, as shown on plans dated October 23rd, 2023, submitted with the application. I got everything, right? Right.
Frontage, yep.
Yep. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
All right, 4-1. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
The next item on our agenda is the minutes for November 21st, 2023. Everybody get the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes for November 21st, 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Jen, just let the record show that I didn't vote. So I didn't vote on that, so it's 4-0. I wasn't here, so.
It'd be 401. Yeah, 401.
That was for the minutes.
Minutes.
Motion.
With the motion, who seconded?
I'm over there, it wasn't me.
What is it?
Second the minutes?
Yes, I second the minutes. Yes, it
Yes.
did.
So how do we fight this now? That's abutting my land.
This was the appeal for it.
Yeah,
That
this is
was-
the deal.
How come my word was not?
We really can't discuss it in the middle of a meeting right now. We already closed the hearing on that. If you want to talk about it, you
Yeah.
can contact us, email us, and
My
talk about it
email-
after.
My email and my cell phone are on the website. I'm happy to if you want to call me tomorrow, happy to go over the how the logistics of all this works and what the next steps could be for you if you want to do.
Yeah, we can't talk about it as a
No,
board
I
now
understand.
because we already closed the hearing. We
No,
can
I
talk
understand.
individually.
So we had no chance to begin with, correct? I mean, just saying, we had no
You-
chance at all. We could have
you have to
said
present-
anything here, and you couldn't, and it's not gonna work.
My word's nothing after all the accidents I see every week.
And you're gonna
Again, we can't discuss this more.
I get it, but, you didn't hear the end of me.
That's silly, guys,
You didn't
come
hear the
on.
end of me.
That's silly. What's the sense of even being in here?
I know, I
Good night. Okay, next on the agenda is the ZBA meetings calendar for 2024. Everybody reviewed that?
Did not.
We can do this next time if you want, if you haven't had a chance to look at it yet. However, we need to vote on it next meeting, I think, for the 2024. Just to know, we have a lot less meetings next year due to, I think there's 3 elections that fall on our Tuesdays, so might be some longer meetings next year because of that. So I think that we can continue that since we don't have the full board here anyway to review. We can do that on the 19th. If there's a motion.
Motion to continue the minutes, 12/19, on the calendar, rather.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to continue the approval of the 2024 ZBA meetings calendar to 12/19/2023 on or after 7:30. All those in favor?
Aye.
So that's just 401 again. Any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.